Good morning. Good morning. It is Saturday, May 2nd. And if you have not been outside yet, you need to step outside and just see how beautiful it is. It's going to be a wonderful weekend. Make sure you take some time to go out and get some fresh air. On the bread front, we have had success. The sourdough bread came out fantastic. We now have starter, so we can continue to make sourdough bread. So, sometime down the line when this is over, you may find a loaf of sourdough or some other kind of bread on your doorstep because it's become my new best thing to do. Um, Today is my 40th daily dose of hope. That means that for at least 40 days, not counting Sundays, we have basically been in quarantine. I never imagined when this began that we would find ourselves still in our homes. And although some restrictions were lifted today, we still have no real idea when life will get back to the normal it was before this virus hit us. And as I thought about that number, I thought about the story of the Israelites in the desert with Moses. According to the Exodus account, they had left Egypt and they're now on their way to the promised land, filled with hope and excitement and faith in this God who freed them from slavery. And they stop at the base of Mount Sinai, and Moses tells them they have to wait there as he climbs the mountain to talk with God. And so that's what the people do. They listen and they hunker down and wait for Moses so that they can move on again. And they begin adjusting to this temporary change in plans. But a week passes, 14 days. Soon it's 30 days, and the people are restless and anxious. And then it hits 40, and they start to wonder, maybe he's not coming back. Maybe he died. What if we're on our own, stuck in this wilderness, isolated, running low on food and supplies, with no idea how long it'll take to get to that promised land? In fact, they don't even know where it is or how to get there. And so panic and fear set in. Hope is at an all-time low, and faith in this God and Moses is pretty much gone too. Oh, how they wish things were like they used to be. They decide they've waited long enough. Maybe it's time they do something about it. You get the picture, right? It's a familiar feeling, isn't it? Many people have had enough too. We want the country open, and we want it open now. We've seen protesters yelling that sentiment on the TV. I was shocked to see people with guns storming the Michigan Capitol. What were they thinking would happen? What kind of people have we become? See, I think the problem is folks are getting worried that life will never resume back to the way it was, even if it wasn't so great. This is worse. And there's a fear that we'll be stuck like this indefinitely. And like the Israelites, worry, fear, anxiety, anger, they've replaced faith and hope. But did the Israelites really believe God would desert them now after all he did for them? That kind of is the million-dollar question, isn't it? Because we kind of could ask the same thing. I mean, do we believe God will get us through this time? Or do we believe that God will leave us in this wilderness of the coronavirus? And so we wonder, why doesn't God jump in and do something? Well, the answer is that sometimes he does, and sometimes he doesn't. Most times he waits to see what we're going to do. That's why faith is so important at times like this. You know, being a Christian isn't about knowing what's in store for you. It's the decision to choose faith when life tells you something different. To choose faith when the wait is taking a long time, when our hair and beards are growing and graying, when the isolation and loneliness is taking a toll, when the fear rises and the worry sets in, when you just want things to change, to be better, to be back to normal. In fact, one of the most challenging things we are facing right now is accepting where we are. And where we are is in the midst of a pandemic, something we have never had to deal with before. And if we can accept that we don't have all the answers, we don't know the answers to what's next. And if we can give up any preconceived notions about how things should be going, we can start moving through it. This can be our starting point, where we surrender it to God and just begin to move forward in faith. Because you see, faith is what will get us through. Because faith isn't a belief that God's going to spare you from problems. It's a belief that He's mighty enough and strong enough to carry us through them. See, He's not a distant God who just gives us rules and tells us to go through life on our own. And He's not a far-off creator who leaves His creation to its own devices. He's a God who's near us, who leans in close enough to hear our faintest whisper and is strong enough to stand our loudest shouts. He's a good God who's always working in our midst, shepherding us, empowering us, holding us up, encouraging us, loving us. That's the kind of God we have. So today, please don't give up. Don't give in to the anxiety. Don't lose patience and lash out or be reckless. Please, for goodness sakes, don't storm the Capitol. Understand that God hasn't deserted us, even if He seems to be silent. In fact, let's take a lesson from the Israelites. See, had they waited just a wee bit longer and kept their eyes looking up, they would have seen the radiant Moses as he came down carrying the 10 Commandments. And they would have rejoiced to hear that the wait was over. It was time to pack up and get to that promised land. We too, my friends, will hear those words very soon. But in the meantime, maybe rather than thinking He's turned a blind eye to our predicament, watch for God moments in your challenging days. Because these are the moments we can see God work at His best. So stay safe, stay hopeful, keep washing those hands and wearing your mask. Get out there and soak in some of the beauty of the day and find your blessing. Keep looking up and know that we will be okay. I love you. I'm praying for you. Have a fantastic day and know we will get through this together. And I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.